Hey guys, welcome to Bedroom Studio Corner. I am XD. Today in this video I'm going to be showing you how to set up your audio interface in FL Studio by using the audio settings. So here in FL Studio you can go to options and click on audio settings, and this window is going to open. So on this window what you're going to see first is your input and your output. So this is where you choose exactly where do you want the source of the audio to be in terms of which microphone you want to use or the output that you also want to use. So firstly, if you go in here, you'll see the direct sound devices and you also see ASIO devices. So usually you would want to choose the ASIO devices because these are devices that will automatically find the best settings for your sound card or your audio interface and make sure that your audio is always at its best. So most of the time, by default, it will usually be set to primary sound driver. And if you don't see the AISO for all drivers, then you might not have installed them when you're installing FL Studio, but you can actually download these and install them and make sure that you have the best sound. So usually I use FL Studio ASIO, this one at the bottom over here. You can also use this ISO for all, but the problem with this one is that it only allows FL Studio to be the only program using that. So which means if you minimize it and try to play anything else or use any other application that uses audio, it will not work. So that's why I like using FL Studio ISO. So if you choose this one, you can open the panel and the panel will show you the buffer length. So it's always good to keep it on 256 if you want to, but if you feel it's not really working well, you can choose 512 or 384 if you want to. So on input, you have to choose the microphone that you're going to be using. In this case, I'm using my ESI on channel 3.4. right here. So that's the one that I'm using. If I was using my webcam, for instance, I would have chosen microphone HD webcam, but I'm not using that. I'm only going to be using my microphone, which is this one I'm recording on right now. And on output, that is your speakers. So if you're going to be using your sound card, or you want to use your internal sound card, if you have one, then you can just choose it right here. It's going to be listed over here. So right now I'm going to choose speakers because that's the one that I'm going to be using on my audio interface. So everything else you can basically leave as it is. Here on priority and here on the mixer, you can just leave it on mixer. If it's on driver or hybrid, you can just put it on mixer. The priority is always good to put it on highest so that FL Studio gets the highest priority in the CPU. And also when you come down here where it says CPU, you can make sure that multi-threaded generator processing is checked, and other one is checked as well on the mixer processing. And also click on Smart Disable. What Smart Disable does is that whenever you're not using a plugin that you have loaded and it's in the background, it makes sure that it disables it instead of having that plugin to keep working while it's not in use. So it's a good thing to keep on. And when you come to the mixer here, you can keep it on 2-point linear, the resampling quality. If you put it on any of these lower ones, it will just make your FL Studio run much slower because these ones are for these ones are for bigger machines that have bigger and better processing power. Now here on preview mixer track, you can set this to any mixer track that you want. This is the sound that's going to be coming out when you are clicking on samples over on the left side in the browser area. So if you want to control the volume of that sound, you can just assign this to any channel. I usually assign this maybe to a channel that I might not really get to when I'm working on my music, maybe like 30 or maybe even 100. You can do that if you want to, but it will just make sure that if the samples that you're sampling and the sounds that you're sampling on the left side in the browser are too loud, you can be able to control the volume. And for your sample rate, you want to keep it at 44,100 because that is the normal sample rate that we use in music. The higher ones is just going to be a heavier load on your CPU and it's just unnecessary. That is basically the settings you want to use in your FL Studio to get the best audio and the best performance out of your FL Studio. So if you find this really helpful, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you want to watch more content like this. I'll check you guys out in my next video. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.